what they actually the
I
reason
thought,
why I'm saying that is
I thought you would be on the side of government on this matter.
The reason why I'm saying that is because this is not an exclusive right for government. So we have individuals. For instance, if I buy cow and I want to make use of my pomo and I want to make use of the in fact, most of the time now people don't really entirely go to where they sell cows. So you have individuals coming together, they will buy one cow. So all those people now, you tell them that the pomo that comes from their cow, they should not eat it.
They will skin it in such a way. But here's the argument I had today. I had interaction with people who are in a major abattoir here in the FCT. And I told them if they are aware of the policy, they said they heard it on radio too, that they are waiting until government comes.
I don't see
but
it.
But what they said to me is
they can't have an exclusive right to that.
Because even months back, the federal government, especially in FCT here, there was a public declaration that they are stopping dressing of cows with tires, burning them with rubber tires. Okay. Now, what the guys at the abattoir were telling me is that they don't even have government presence in most of the abattoirs. So now they've not implemented that issue of that burning. They are still using tire, by the way, till this morning, till this afternoon. As I'm talking, if you get to the day market, people are still using tires to burn meat in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, which is very sad. Yeah. But however, so they now said since they are still burning, they've not even addressed that one. Yeah. How are they going to take care of the more issue? And they were actually laughing at me like we are just speaking English. Yeah. That they are here and they are doing.
Do you know
they are doing their business?
If the government can come in from a direction of, you have these guys there, you tell them monetize,
educate
them, and tell them, okay, this is what you stand to gain. You in fact you even earn higher than selling normal pomo for food. You understand? So I think that is what the government should do, rather than telling them that you want to ban pomo. So if I know that,
and even be in control of processing of meat, yet let's even have a standard meat processing arrangement, unlike what we have. Like yesterday, I just saw on the news, Namibia, for instance, now has attained the same standard with USDA standard in meat processing. Namibia, we are bigger, we are better, we have more resources, human resources, anyone you can. We are not on the same scale. What these people have, they can process meat at global stage. As a matter of fact, they can now officially you can export processed meat from Namibia to USA and other states that USDA approved their standard. I will go on a quick short break, and then when we return, we'll dive straight into the main topic, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll find a way forward on our discussion. Thank you, and stay tuned. Please feel free to also share this conversation on your personal channel so that we can reach out to more people who will also learn from a lot in the agribusiness. We'll go on a short break. We'll be back shortly.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Okay, welcome back to the podcast channel of the Agribusiness segment of the Money Radio show here, coming to you from the Leadership Podcast Studio here from the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja. My name is Adad Dukote, and of course, I am your Agro Teller King. The only thing I talk about here on this podcast is agriculture, food, and agriculture. If you're offended, I want to be sure that you don't want to miss your next meal. So, of course, we'll go to the next area of discussion of our topics today. So today we're talking about reasons why agri investments or farms fail generally in this part of the world, or let me say in Africa. So, and then of course in the studio we have Mr. Sammy Victor, who is also an agripreneur himself, and he will share some of his experience with us, and then we will see how we can allow our citizens to also our listeners or our people joining this conversation also learn a thing or two from our conversation. So, Mr. Sammy, tell us, in your experience, I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, we have population, people are buying food, people are eating food, people are spending money on food every day. And the agricultural sector, of course, is a huge industry. And because of our population too, we have a lot of demand in different segments of the market. In your view, what do you think is the cause of failure in agricultural investment and farming in Nigeria?
Okay. This is a very, very big, very bogus.
Topic.
Sometimes, and I think we can't actually exhaust it. So we just need to break it down from all the different chains of agriculture, the value chains of agriculture. So, but for me, I'm going to first of all delve into the foundational chain, which is where you have the farmers, the people that are planting. Then you also have, if it is animal husbandry, then you talk about those that are rearing either poultry or whatsoever animal that are
livestock subsector.
Yes. So for me, one of the major reasons why sometimes agribusiness fails is lack of interaction with the business.
Lack of interaction.
Yes, intimate interaction. The owner. Yes. So,
okay, so
the reason why I'm saying,
are you talking about a VIP farmer or an exclusive farmer who believes that money should meet him on the bed or something, and they can cash out?
Whichever way.
Okay.
Whichever way. So that interaction, there must be that interaction. Either somebody is paying one person to have that interaction. You understand? But that intimate interaction must be there with the business. Let me give you an example. Because I'm about to embark on a project and it has consumed me. When I'm saying the business, the farming, the animals you're raising must consume you. So it enables you to have enough time
and
understand the business
in
detail. So you pay so much attention to detail so that even some of the loopholes that may affect you would not even come to play because you are always available. Let me give you an example about the intimacy I'm talking about. When I did my fish business and I lost so much, do you know that I took some home? I could not eat it because of the passion I had for the and I could see that and this thing just crumbled.
So tell us, what happened to the fish? What happened to what happened?
So that intimacy now was what actually I traveled for a while. You understand? I just left my boys.
I think our listeners will want to have an idea how long you traveled. 10 days, 2 weeks.
I just traveled for 4 days.
You went to Casablanca.
4 days. I traveled to Benin.
Benin. Yeah.
Just traveled to Benin for 4 days. It was for 4 to 5 days. I just traveled. I traveled on Wednesday, came back on Monday. Wow. You understand? And coming back,
magical happened.
As in. So imagine, just look at the time I left and look at what happened. Losing more than 2,000, fishes. You understand? So just that level,
and the story was a bit very funny,
very
complicated
because of the distance of the farm to where I stay. I only go once to monitor the feed. You understand? So I discovered that even the actual feed that they are supposed to give the fish,
that is very
which
common.
Is very, very important. So they save some of them and sell some of the bags. You understand? You will not give the right diet for them or the right proportion that they are supposed to eat per day. As a result. So imagine now I have left for a while. So that's intimacy, the attention I'm supposed to give. You understand? To that fish at that particular time was what caused. Of course, we know that there are other external factors. You understand that if they're in a normal plant, or whichever one, like in terms of viruses,
and other things that they creep.
So those ones are things we do not have power over. But for the internal factors, we really need to pay attention.
Monitor the business.
We need to monitor. Every other thing can come later.
So if I understand you very well, agribusiness investment. It's as an owner of such investment, you need to track and relate very well with the business. The business may not be able, especially if you are just starting it. And this it's not even about you starting either a small agric investment. Whether the investment is big or is a large investment, somehow there has to be some interaction even at the early stage of
Very,
your
very
business,
important.
in order for the business to succeed. Beyond it's not something you can actually run like an auxiliary, or like they do on Forex now. They tell
Yes.
you, oh, you can actually have automated system.
Yeah.
Just click it. Because I tell a lot of farmers that even the automated system in Nigeria, sometimes there are other things that come to play.
Yeah.
Fuel may not be on ground for you to power. You may not have gas to power your system. So some things will be manual.
Yeah.
So those human beings, you need to find a way who are managing the business.
Yes.
The business you have to have a good interaction with the business to monitor where there are red flags on the investment.
So I think for me it's a major, and once that is settled, even the finances, the administration, everything is going to be taken care of. The expertise that is needed, the consultants that you need to bring in to make sure that they monitor the things you don't know. Because you can't know everything.
There are consultants who can actually mislead you if you don't have good interaction with the business.
Yes,
I've seen farm owners who may not even know the actual feed consumption per day. The consultants come in and then they just play a quick one on them. They tell you, oh, this one, it has to be 10 bags, it has to be 15 bags. Then when this consultant is supposed to make the supply, you realize that they are not supplying the actual thing. The consultant will come back and tell the farm workers, oh, this is what you do. But for a farm owner who do not understand some of this little detail and has no interaction with the business, it becomes a bigger and a longer story.
As in serious one. I think so that has been affecting, I don't know, someone was telling me, you see people wanting to sell their poultry. I ask myself, why? If this business is actually bringing in money, why? So I think at the beginning, it's not what you should share. You don't share, don't try to diversify at the beginning. You understand? Focus. Have the proper administrative,
setup.
The setup first before you start. Say, okay,
understand
the business properly before you now say, okay, I want to diversify. So I think it's a core. It's a core of that determines the success of agriculture in Nigeria. So I think.
Okay, so but aside this, I know that you have other areas that you've seen. I keep emphasizing on one, your experience, because sometimes most of these things are better when you have that level of experience, just like you mentioned of your interaction. What are those other points you think we need to consider?
For me,
to ensure
one should not be too, sometimes one gets discouraged, especially when you have
expectation.
You have an expectation, you have a forecast. Okay, this is what it should be. Don't be too expectant. For my own fish, I was too expectant.
Yeah.
The expectation was too much. When I was going into it, I did research. I did a lot.
You were so sure.
I was so sure. This
You're already joining the $1 billion gang.
The thing hooked me. I almost had.
And I must say too that one of the reasons why I actually don't do much of fish, I do a little bit of fish, but just for personal consumption. The fact that I cannot tell what is in that water, that's one of my issues with fish. But of course, it's a very good area of investment.
Yeah, it is.
If the things are done rightly. And just like you mentioned about interaction with the business and also lowering your expectation.
Yeah.
Because for fish, for instance, you don't even know if there's been a lot of high cannibalism among the fish. They've eaten them up.
Yeah.
On the day of harvest, you may just be expecting 1 ton, and then you realize that you're having half a ton. And that can be very discouraging.
Yeah. And that, sometimes, like I said, it still boils down to that same interaction. You understand? Because for fish now, if you don't sort well, there's what we call shooters. You have shooters. You have the. So if you don't
those ones
sort
that become
well,
a bit
it's just like normal human beings.
Yes.
You're bigger
survival
than I
of
am.
the fittest.
You understand?
I will eat more than you.
So you definitely eat more than I do.
If not, I'm tired.
So so the same thing happens to the animals too. So they are not all on the same level. So, but they are not that rational to know that no, this is my brother, I'm not supposed to consume. So they consume themselves, and the more they even get bigger when they eat themselves than eating normal.
Because it's a higher protein.
You understand? It's higher protein. So I think it still boils down to that. Paying good attention. Don't be too expectant. Don't be too expectant.
But I also think that from this part of the world, I mean, if you look at us Nigerians generally, we have a very I don't know if it's is this MMM mentality to business or investment. Sometimes the major chunk of when you can gain return on investment in the agricultural sector takes a little time for this investment to mature. Some people they don't even understand that time factor that plays on the business. So that also accounts for why sometimes you have people having higher expectation.
Yeah.
For instance, if you're running a piggery farm, if you're going to run a chain where you're going to do some fattening, there is no breed at the moment, no matter how the formulation you want to use. There are certain kg that you can achieve, let's say in 4 months. There are certain kg you can achieve when they are 5, and there are certain kg you can achieve when they are 6 months. Same with the poultry industry.
Yeah.
If you're doing production for, let's say, the meat, the broiler, in general, you don't expect that these broilers will be 10 kg or will be 5 kg in 8 weeks.
No.
You will just give yourself big headache. The most important thing is you should understand that there's a time factor that plays on this investment, and your expectation need to find a way to match your expectation with the time factor, and then your final output, and then your own inputs before we even talk about the output. Because these are things farmers do. Some people who keep the best, they have very high expectation, but the input is even still lower than their expectation. So at the end of the day, people become disappointed.
And I also feel another factor is, sometimes people get carried away, especially when the money starts rolling in. So the money you are supposed to use as
to reinvest.
That is when you start building houses.
Yes.
The money you are supposed, like the last program we had in the other station, where said you need to have a shock absorber. So there have to be some funds set aside for shock absorber, because sometimes contingencies come. Crisis come.
So you can delay as a farm and investment manager or somebody who owns that kind of, you can delay your day of Dorime somehow.
Yes. Just delay that.
Because
you understand? Because you don't know. Because
true.
You need to have that shot. So just keep the money.
Something aside to still sustain your farm operation.
Rather than, of course, you have the ability to live whatever life you want to live because you have the fund. But most times, that's when they begin to buy house for forecasting that in the next 2 months, in the next 6 months,
there will be another millions,
and a crisis might come at that particular time.
Yeah.
That will just sweep all the birds, or will just sweep all the pigs and stuff, all the fishes, all of them. The virus will come and they will all die. How do you as a result? Most of them will now go. You take loans and you are not able to meet up.
Payment deadline.
Yes, so the business collapses. So I think they need to have self-control and over their finances, especially when it starts coming in.
Self-control over their finances. And then you mentioned something also very important, which is a shock absorber.
The shock absorber.
That they need to set aside certain funds.
Yes.
To take care of other emergencies, things that may happen that we did not. The unforeseen.
Yes, just keep it there. Don't touch it. I think most farmers. I think that's is also, and apart from the first one we mentioned,
I will have to take that very seriously. very seriously.
So I know that the mistake I made with I will never make that mistake again. I will never make that mistake. So you learn on the job. Apart from nobody was, everything we all know in farming, there are things we learned on the job. So I think it's also
as a matter of fact, there are a lot of universities that teach agriculture and all of this.
But there
is no practical.
Yes.
So it's when we go into the field that we now realize that there's a practical and a real world. These universities, they know themselves. But really, agriculture is not something you teach without practical. But they do it in this part of the world. Yes, we will. Your days are.
So agric is a very lucrative business. We just also hope that the government can invest more on it. See, and
but why government? Why not private sector? Because government has a lot. I strongly believe that government has a business in business. But of course, Nigerians, there are a lot of people who need jobs. Why can't they take this side of investment and expand and ensure that the business succeeds?
For me, the private sector, the reason why most, like you said,
I don't like talking about government much because we will just jump into politics. But the truth is, private citizens, people who are listening to this conversation, need to understand how they too will start this business and ensure that they sustain it beyond 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, and then you can run it.
There are a lot of private investors. You understand? Private people that also, but most of the time, even sometimes, some of their funds still come from the government because some of their banks, they hardly release money.
I initially don't want to call bank in this conversation because in Nigeria,
Yeah.
And in Africa, they've not been too kind to us.
Yes.
And I'm using the opportunity to talk to you. Most of the banks, you know what we're talking about. Yes.
So
continue.
even when you want to go and get loan for Agric, it's an issue.
The documentation,
As in,
they treat you like you have
an issue.
no address.
It's an
They
issue.
treat you like you are coming to steal their
So
money.
because they know that anything can happen, one unforeseen contingency can just happen. One maybe flood might.
They will even tell us we will even pay for insurance, but they will not use the insurance to repay the loan.
So we
I thought
need
that
some
was
of this,
what it's
the
meant for.
government, the public, the government. We need the private sector to also come into help, especially when those crises come. These are the people you run to help you. You understand? So I think it's important, very, very important, that some of these financial aids come in, as fast as possible, to play a role in what government.
Well, so for everyone listening to us, of course, or watching this podcast, is the agribusiness segment of the Morning Radio, and today we're talking about the failure of agricultural investment and farming in Nigeria, and of course Africa by extension. My name is Adadu Ote, of course, and I'm your host on the show today. And of course, we have the one and only Farmer Samson Sonmi Victor, who is here with us. And of course, we'll be talking about all of this, and we've mentioned issues that has to do with people being part of the business, being part of the process of running the business. We'll talk about creating a shock cassava. We're talking about that's delaying the day of the Adorime celebration. Instead of eating up all the money you'd make on the business, you set something aside to take care of something. So, and of course, yes, you're watching us. Please, if you have any question, please feel free to send it in. We'll see. We just have a few minutes left, but we will see how we can respond to some of your questions and your contribution, so that we can have a very comprehensive conversation. So, but while we're talking about the government and the private sector, and of course the banks actually the commercial banks fall into a very strong segment of the business who are playing a major role. But most times, some of the banks are also causes of failure of some of this business, because the structure of loan repayment plan and all of that brings a lot of burden on farmers. And sometimes some farmers may not be able to take it. They end up selling the farm, liquidating the investment just to pay for a loan. Just today, I was at a farm settlement, and I met someone who has a vehicle. He uses his vehicle to deliver most of his production, his eggs. And he was telling me how a certain cooperative or something he was part of, he took a loan, he needed to pay, the interest is piling up, and he's forced to sell some of those things. And of course, this is also an opportunity to talk to the people who are running some of this loan channel. Please take it easy on farmers. We're using this opportunity to take it easy on farmers, and don't be the cause of the reason why some of these businesses are failing, as against your support, your services enabling the business to run. So, but in your view, really, what do you think? Don't you think that Nigerian banks, I don't want to call cooperative because some of them are not a bit or too formal, but what of the formal sector, which the banks are actually forming to that segment? How do you think these banks can prevent loan, or even we leveraging on insurance service to reduce failure of business?
Sorry, I don't get your question.
Leveraging on insurance or bank service provider to reduce the failure of business in our environment.
Okay, I feel that the reason why banks sometimes will not want is because of the guarantee. So, of course, they will say it's not their money, it's people's money. And they will not want to put people's money.
But CBN has, like in the case of Nigeria, CBN has been giving them money for just agriculture. Different kind of agricultural
loans.
Why are they keeping that money? They
should see, like I told you, I think 2014, there was a particular, 2013, there was a particular fund that was supposed to come to, coppers that just finished serving. You understand? A lot of agricultural, support schemes. And the money were there. So they say, okay, a minimum of 3 million for each farmer. So I went for the training. It was so lovely. You understand? But In the end, in fact, we were even forced to open an account. I don't want to mention the name of the bank. We were forced to open accounts with them. And I think I told you about it. And the minister,
won't call their name, but next time if they do,
the minister, it was Audu Ogbe then. And I think I told you about it.
Yeah.
You know, after that time, we didn't hear anything, only to discover that those monies were given to the big farmers. In quotes. Money that you were supposed to share for like 100, small
10,000
farmers. 10, hundreds or 500.
One farmer will pocket
you give it to like 3 farmers, billions, and before you know it, they mismanage it, and the money at the end of the day, it does not even impact so much people. So I think there is this paddy that the banks also play with the so-called people, big player. They feel that they have the infrastructure, they value their infrastructure.
They are not even passionate about
They are not passionate about it.
They are not.
So as long as they have a relationship with the bank directors, it's easy for them to cash out. While the little ones, farmers that are supposed to be growing and supposed to even be affecting the economy on a daily basis, don't have access to such funds. So I think banks should be a little bit lenient. Calm down. You understand? They should come down to the people. Come down to the people. It's only a few banks in Nigeria that are trying in agriculture. The rest is real estate, and they just
contracts.
They
forget that people who live in that house will need to feed.
They will need to eat.
They will need to eat. They will need to be healthy. And farmers actually hold the key.
During COVID-19 was when I discovered that one of the best business you could do is agriculture, food business. During COVID, who was buying clothes? Nobody was buying shoes. Nobody.
They know they come off.
That period, we're buying eggs, bread, and these are things that
consumables.
Yeah, the consumables that banks and private people should actually invest in. So there is a lifelong investment. So it's not something that
Well, that's really good to know. So of course, we are having the Money Radio talk show at the agribusiness segment of the show for the week. And we've said so much, and I'm sure most of you have learned one or two things. We have somebody who is also Zubi, who is saying investment in agriculture and farming should be sustainable, not help. Okay, that's good to know. And also Zubi from Owerri, he said agriculture and farming is lucrative, but there is no political support like politics. Oil and gas, housing, construction, and telecommunication. I totally agree to.
Yes.
We actually mentioned this.
Just what I said now.
Because truly, these political guys, they don't support most of us. They only come and tell us what they will do. In fact, when they are talking about the whole manifesto, especially in Nigeria, they may not talk about the agricultural sector. You'll be hearing, I will build 10,000-kilometer roads. We will build this for you, we'll build this, but nobody will talk about how many dams we should build in certain local governments that flood is impacting, that they can leverage on it to improve irrigation. Nobody is going to talk about food or anything. But of course, you've seen how it is in the last few years that we've been doing business in Nigeria. Of course, most farmers are the ones making extra money. But yes, I totally agree that there is no political will to support. I agree with Zubi. And there's no political will in supporting the sector. Most time it's just lip services that they do to farmers. So of course, Mr. Sumi, time is not on our side anymore. Please kindly give us your closing remarks. What average person who is watching or listening to this podcast can take home as your final words to them.
Okay, my final. If you want to start agribusiness, make proper consultation.
Make proper consultation.
Yes.
Don't jump into it.
Just know
if not, you will learn the lesson the hard way.
Yes, and most times some people don't come out of it emotionally. They don't come out of it emotionally.
I've seen people who close down farms, who close down production, and start not even starting all over. They leave the industry completely.
So and you have to have passion for it. Not just for the money, but there must be passion. That's why I have passion for birds.
I like the two passion actually. Passion for the money, passion for the business.
No, the money will definitely, whatever you have passion for, the money will come. That's because you will pay time, your time, your money, the attention that we talked about at the beginning as a result of the failure of agriculture in Nigeria. You understand? So you need to have passion for what you're doing. Fantastic. So that passion will definitely bring the money.
Amen.
So, yeah. So I think those are my.
That's very strong.
my
So, of
few-
course, at this point, we come to the last segment of the end of the show for today. And of course, we will do the same time, same channel next week, where we discuss on other topics that relate to agriculture. Of course, if you don't remember anything, just like he said, you need to have the passion. And before you start, you need to make the right consultation. Learn from people who are already in the industry or from other experts who can advise you on how to manage the investment. And of course, in everything we talked about today, as regards to the topic that we've also mentioned, you will not forget that we talked about having a shock absorber, also getting to be attached to your business beyond you just forming farm owner, business owner from a distance. No matter how you do this, and then also we talked about issue of you letting time act on your investment, not just you having high expectation on the business, because at the end of the day, in this industry called agriculture, you need time to gain return on the investment. Yeah. It is not a get rich quick syndrome. It is not MMM. It's not Forex. All those things that there's a good side of Forex anyway. Let me not say Forex. Other things, not any scam or something. You need time to let the investment grow. At this point, I want to say thank you and make sure you eat a lot of food from Nigerian farmers, not imported food. And of course, keep listening to this channel, keep following. Please like and share this video even after the show, and then you can give more people opportunity to also learn a thing or two. Thank you so much. My name is Adado Ose, and here is where we draw the curtain. Do have a lovely week ahead, and thank you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.